This is Goldchad, an improved version of the Goldmask cosplay which I made in an earlier video. With new weapons, talismans and tactics, does this version improve on the original to help us compete with the meta? Well, like the video and give it to me bite size. So for our equipment, I swapped out the flimsy gold rags for the tree sentinel armor, which will provide us with a much needed boost to our defense and poise while maintaining that golden aesthetic. I've kept the radiant gold mask for both the iconic look and to maintain that 10% boost to our golden order incantations. Then looking at our weapons, we have two golden order seals which will stack with each other and each provides a 10% buff to our golden order incantations. This will be used to cast our usual golden order incantations, but I've removed the litany of proper death as I didn't find it particularly useful in the previous version of the build. Following this, we have the golden order greatsword, which was included in our previous version of the build, and while useful, its slow attack speed can be disadvantageous against aggressive enemies who stagger you. But we have a trick for that, which is a sword of night and flame. I honestly believe this weapon was made for Goldmask due to the fact that it benefits from both intelligence and faith scaling, just like our incantations, and the golden design suits our drip perfectly. And this sword will help us punish aggressive players with quick swings that can poise through attacks, helping us to keep enemies at bay when they try to counter our casting. We also have access to both a fire and magic style of attack through the weapon art Night and Flame stance. But the piece which unlocks a whole new strategy to this build is the Erdtree Great Shield. This shield is unique in the sense that it can deflect magic projectiles back towards an enemy using its skill Golden Retaliation, meaning spellcasters are powerless against us. But this shield has a unique interaction where we can counter our own spells to fire a projectile towards our enemies, and this could be tree comboed with triple rings of light. And then for our talismans, we have the Radagon Saw Seal for a boost to our stats at the cost of damage taken, the Erdtree Favor +2 to boost our health, stamina and equip load, the Great Jar's Arsenal, which will boost what we can carry by 19%, and the Bull Goat's Talisman to boost our poise by 33%. Looking at our stats, we have 55 Vigor and 27 Endurance. The 24 Mind will help us cast without needing to recharge, and the 25 Strength and 16 Dexterity is the initial value for our weapon requirements. We could then pour the rest of our points into 31 Intelligence and Faith for our damage and incantation requirements. The reason I said initial value for our weapon requirements is because our Vigor, Endurance, Strength and Dexterity will be boosted by the Radagon Saw Seal to help us reach the optimal stat levels for this build. And as per usual, our equipment is upgraded up until the point where you have to use an Ancient Dragon Smithing Stone so you can test it out and make a decision. So how can we utilize Goldchad in combat? Well, we have our standard strategy, which involves casting our Rings of Light to damage our opponent and using our Golden Order Greatsword skill, Establish Order, to blast then potentially combo enemies for damage. But we can also now deflect our Rings of Light to send holy projectiles towards our enemies, and if we aim our triple Rings of Light towards the floor, it creates a lingering spell which can both damage enemies who enter into its radius, and we can deflect it far easier. This will true combo if you land both the triple Rings of Light with the deflection, allowing you to melt enemies' health while blocking incoming damage. And in fact, Giga's Ficus did this by incorporating the Cat's Flame ability for even more damage, so check out his video in the description box below. This can also work in PvE, allowing you to deflect projectiles to rack up the damage. But obviously, just casting spells will cause your opponent to play more aggressively, and a counter is the Sword of Night and Flame, which can strike enemies with good stagger damage. This acts as a quicker alternative to the Golden Order Greatsword, which is slower and better used for its weapon art. But in PvP, the Sword of Night and Flame weapon art is very situational, better suited for PvE, where you can melt bosses as demonstrated in my Night of Sleeping Flame video. And lastly, due to our increased poison defense, we can better cast our incantations whether that's the long-range Discus of Light or the deceptively long and high damaging Radagon's Rings of Light. On our weaknesses, there aren't really any hard counters that I can think of that other builds wouldn't also struggle with, like dual spears, Knight Rider Glaive, or spell spammers. But you may find it difficult to trade attacks with greatswords due to our lower damage output, and hyper-aggressive enemies using quick step style weapon arts can pressure us into a purely physical fight, which this build isn't intended to do. But in the end, I think this build makes a noticeable improvement to the original Goldmask, providing us with a much needed boost to our defense, poise, and options for attacking and countering a variety of builds. While we may struggle against quick attackers, we benefit from a true combo which can decimate health alongside a close range sword, useful for finishing the job. But let me know your thoughts on the build, and of course subscribe. This is Bite Sized Otaku, and I hope you enjoyed.
You're busy, bro.
Yeah, boy.